Hey, and welcome to the highlights of episode number 129 with Gabriel Cousens. Some of my favorite parts of this episode were when he talks about what whole person enlightenment is. I also loved when he shared the 3 powerful questions to ask yourself to uncover your unique mind-body constitution and why we all need a good quality B12 supplement. But there is so much more insight, wisdom, and knowledge that you get in the full episode. So, to listen to the full podcast and get all the info in the show notes, head on over to melissaambrosini.com/129 right now. Gabriel, it is so great to have you here. I'm so excited for this conversation. Can you tell us about your journey and how you got to where you are today, doing the amazing work that you're now doing?
It's a subtle journey. I actually began tuning into this journey when I was 4 years old. And by the time I was 8, I was really having visions. And I think they were the Essenes and some of the mystical Indian teachings like Sai Baba of Shirdi in India. And also Abraham. So I was getting in, and also Crazy Horse. So I was having visions of people I had no clue of who they were. No clue. I was raised in kind of a middle-class suburban outside Chicago in the 50s. It's like not a clue. But nevertheless, these visions are coming. I definitely sense them as spiritual things. And nobody really understood, and I actually realized not a really good idea to share because they didn't get it, and they thought that's a little strange. When I was 16, my older brother was killed in a car accident. He and I were very, very close, and I spontaneously spent a lot of time in his room and really began to meditate. Now, I didn't know what meditation was. Nobody ever taught me to meditate, but I would go in these long periods of kind of mystical oneness.
So you talk about whole person enlightenment. What is that?
So once having really awakened and being acknowledged by my 2 enlightened teachers, Swami Prakashananda and Muktananda, I also had this other mission, the live foods, holistic healing, the whole vegan way of life, and looking at all of the lifestyle, because I'm also family therapist, psychiatrist. And so I began looking at every aspect. This is not really what's emphasized in India. They're only interested in Aham Brahmasmi. I'm that. I'm only God. So I began, because of my life experience, to say, wait, there's more to it than that. If you live a full lifestyle that supports the awakening, which we call in India Sanatana Dharma, it actually accelerates it and builds the vessels so that you can better receive the energy when it's your time for the Kundalini to awaken and to wake up. So the whole person enlightenment is having every aspect of your being, your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, be awake, and not just the spiritual level. That's what whole person enlightenment is about, is that you're at optimum light frequency in all those levels, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual.
Sounds beautiful. So you spoke a little bit before about spiritual nutrition. What's that?
As it came to me starting in 1975, it's eating in a way that supports the unfoldment of the spiritual energy. And in specific, the Kundalini, which is more yogic term for the spiritual energy within us. That's inherently who we are. Now, and it's just eating in a way it supports it. It's not eating for beauty. It's not eating for strength. It's not eating for flexibility or endurance or longevity. It's eating to enhance your spiritual life, eating to become a superconductor of the divine. Now, it's also, as I saw, it's a very powerful way to actually amplify every level of your life. There's a life food diet, you're going to decrease depression by 400%, anxiety by 300%, more mental clarity, more strength of mind, and a variety of other things that happens, on the physical level. But emotional level and mental level are definitely enhanced on this live food vegan diet. Okay, you're clear, you're more creative, and again, you're more emotionally balanced. What I've observed with lots and lots of people here is that a live food diet enhances your production of your neurotransmitters and also balances them. And we look at the world today and people's neurotransmitters, their brain function is seriously out of balance. So the live food diet brings that back into balance. So that's actually a very, very important point, is people don't think about it that way. We are built, it stimulates the enhancement of our neurotransmitters and balancing brain neurochemistry.
Do you believe plants have life and consciousness?
Yes. I think it's been proven. So I think it's a little bit more than a belief system. Secret Life of Plants pretty much proves that. What is the difference between plants and animals then? Well, animals have a soul, at least according to the biblical teachings. And because they have a soul, the Torah is saying we shouldn't be eating them. Okay? Plants have consciousness, but not necessarily a soul in the way we're talking about. They have a subtle body and physical body awareness, but animals have an astral plane, as do humans, and somewhere in there is the soul. So the biblical teachings really says, no, you shouldn't be eating any being with the soul.
Very huge. And you talk a lot about mind-body constitution and understanding our own mind-body constitution. How can we do that? And how do we personalize our diet for our particular mind-body constitution?
So the first thing to understand is that this is a genetic thing. Chromosome 19. And on chromosome 19, there's places that say how much carbohydrate, how much protein, how much fat we should eat. So it actually comes from our genes. But that's the first thing, okay? Just know it's not about somebody's opinion. Oh, a fruitarian diet's the best way to go. No, it's not like that. What is included in their genes is actually how much protein, how much fat, how much carbohydrate. Now, that being said, and knowing it's not opinion, the task is the second part of your question. What is that? Well, how do you figure it out? Okay, without a very expensive genetic test. So in my book, Conscious Eating and Rainbow Green Life Food Cuisine, and a little bit in There's a Cure for Diabetes, I give charts to figure it out. Okay? And I can go into, I have 30 questions that help people get clear. Are you a person that needs more protein or less protein? I call it fast and slow oxidizers. Fast oxidizers need more protein. Slow oxidizers need less protein. Like I'm a person who really doesn't need much protein, maybe 10%. So there's 3 questions that would help. So the first question is, when you sit down to eat, are you attracted primarily to the salad, or you are primarily attracted to the protein part, the nuts and seeds and sea pate? You're primarily attracted to the salad. It's a suggestion that you're what we call a slow oxidizer and don't need that much protein. I'll explain that in a minute, how much protein we're talking about. Second question is, if you eat just the salad, okay, are you going to be hungry in the next hour or two, or are you going to be fine for the next 4 to 6 hours? If you're a person that's fine for the next 4 to 6 hours, most likely, again, you're a person that needs a lower protein diet, what we call slow oxidizer. If you're going to get hungry in an hour or two because you didn't get enough protein, you're a person that needs more protein in your diet. So that's your second question. And well, those are let's say the 2 main questions. The third question is, are you satisfied? You just eat a salad. once we wipe our minds clean, are you physically satisfied with just eating a salad? Or do you feel unsatisfied and you need lots more nuts and seeds and seed pâtés? So if you're not satisfied with just a salad and you need those, then you're a person that needs more protein. Those are three kind of key questions. Now, the next question is, well, how much protein do we need? That's a reasonable question, right? So there is in the research a pathway called the M, then capital T, capital O, capital R pathway. And they basically discovered that the optimum amount of protein is somewhere between 35 and 70 grams of protein a day. It's not a lot, but if you're in that range, you're going to optimize the mTOR pathway. Now, what does that mean? Well, that's a pathway that supports anti-cancer and longevity. They're also really anti-diabetes. So a slow oxidizer, person needs less protein, is going to be closer to 35, 40 grams a day. Fast oxidizer is going to be closer to 70 grams a day. So it's not that much protein in general, right? But that's what we're talking about. That's the range. That's the optimal range of protein intake for longevity. Then with age, we go into a little bit more vata, tendency to imbalance everybody. Doesn't matter who they are. And so what do we have to do? We have to oil our skin. We have to drink more fluid and actually bring more salt in. Those are three big vata balancing things. So what we're doing is adjusting with our age, what we call in Ayurvedic our doshas.
So if you are an advocate of this vegan lifestyle, do you not believe that everyone should be vegan?
That's a pretty important question. And the first thing we need to answer is, can we sustain ourselves as vegans? No meat, fish, chicken, dairy, or eggs. And I think the answer is in this modern world, absolutely sustainable. No problem. What about the B12? Well, the truth is, as I point out in my books, meat eaters and vegans at the level we need all need a B12 supplement. What's the difference? Well, if we need 200 nanograms, which is the minimum dose, about 40% of meat eaters are going to be deficient in B12. And at the upper range, maybe 80, 90%. Okay, fine. Now, when we need 400 to 450 nanograms, which is optimal amount of B12, okay, we kind of understand what's optimal, then about 80% of meat eaters are not going to get enough B12. About 90% of vegans are not going to get enough B12. Now, I'll mention one other word. It's called organic. And organic food has about 88% more antioxidants and about 25% more nutrients. And that's multiple studies combined together make that statement. So I want to add the word organic in there. It is actually quite important.
Yeah, that's great. And I agree with the organic. You know, there are so many chemicals and pesticides and junk sprayed on our produce that we really do either need to be growing it ourselves or making sure you're going to the local organic farmer and getting your produce from a trusted source. And, you know, the more that we get out of the supermarkets and go to the farmers markets, and the more that we're voting with our dollar every time we hand over money, we are saying that we believe in that big corporation. You know, and something that I'm really mindful of is conscious consumerism. And every time we spend money, we are saying we believe in it. So I really want to inspire people to either grow some of your own produce, you know, even if it's just starting with some herbs. If you live in an apartment, just getting a little herb box, you know, and then going to the organic farmers markets. I'm sure everyone listening has access to, you know, some sort of local farmers market. And going there and meeting the farmer and voting with your dollar, it's really, really important.
Super important. I'm real glad you said that. It's super important because The result of that is what's actually happening. Organic farmers are increasing all over the world because they've so contaminated our food sources with the GMO and pesticides, herbicides. It's actually really critical. So how do we do it? We support our organic farmers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it costs a little bit more, but not in the long run, because if you're healthy, then it's going to cost you less.
Yeah. Yeah. In your opinion, what is one of the most important things that we can do today for our health?
Love ourselves enough to want to heal ourselves.
Beautiful. And what is one of the most important things that we can do for more wealth in our life? So more abundance in all areas of our life.
I have more of a karmic point of view. What I suggest is we live the 6 foundations in the 7-fold piece. Maybe I'll kind of review that, because then that sets the tone. And then to me, we're guided to what we're supposed to do about the issues of wealth. And it's something, people think they earn this or they earn that. It's not quite that way in my understanding. It's more of a karmic thing. So I suggest the 80% live food, 100% vegan diet. I suggest fasting twice a year. And second step is do the pranayama and yoga or tai chi, qigong, things like that. Third step is service and charity. People will say, well, give some service and you get 5-fold back. That's a business deal. That's not charity. You give because you give, not because you expect to get anything back. Okay. Fourth is what I call working with a spiritual teacher if we're ready. And in yoga, terms vairagya, equal vision, seeing God equal in everyone. And viveka, being able to see the difference between the temporal reality and the cosmic reality. Fifth, as much meditation and prayer, chanting as possible. And the sixth, which is a little specialized, is get as much Shaktipat to send its grace. Since I've been powered by Muktananda to be a Shaktipat, master and so forth. So that's 6. Now, the 7-fold path is peace with the body, peace with the mind, which is meditating, peace with the body is the diet, peace with the family, so paying attention to all our relations and understand that relationships are there for us to grow spiritually. Not always so easy. That's why we teach sacred relationship. It's really important, the capacity for intimacy, which is part of what there's a breakdown in the world today because people aren't putting that as a value. They're getting a little more intimate with their computers. And it's really important in the level of human interaction. And then peace with the community. We have a variety of communities that we live in. Peace with culture, and from a Native American way and from the Torah way, we talk about peace with the rock people, okay? Peace with the plant people, peace with the animal people, animal beings, and peace with humans. So it's a kind of multiple levels of peace in a kind of whole more ecological view. Peace with all cultures. And then what I call peace with the ecology, spiritual ecology, and finally peace with God. When you put those all together, it creates a lifestyle.